Hi friends, today we're taking a look finally at the new Sonia G Keyaki Kakishibu Tradtions eye set. First and foremost, a huge thank you to Sonia G and Beautylish for sending me this set. I do receive PR from Sonia. I am so grateful to do so because yes, it does help with the makeup budget, but I would buy these. I know I was holding off on Wayne's set 100%, but I can't stay away from the Kakishibu dye. That was the nail in the coffin for me. It had to be mine, but I'm grateful to have received this as a gift. Thank you again to Sonia and Beautylish. We were first introduced to the Tradition series back in 2022 when Sonia released her limited edition trio eye set alongside her Mount Fuji brush, and this was a sneak peek into what we have now in the Keyaki Kakishibu eye set, both with the beautifully constructed handles that we saw from the first Traditions eye set, and of course the dyeing. Kakishibu is a persimmon dyeing technique that is traditional in Japanese brush making, and now that we have an entire set showcasing not only the beautiful construction of these handles made out of Keyaki wood, but now with the beautiful dyeing technique that you see here with all eye brushes. This set is already available on Beautylish. It officially dropped on the 23rd. You could purchase it as a full set or as individuals. The full set does retail for $240, and before you have a panic attack, Sonia G brushes are made in Japan. And yes, I have B-roll showing the Kumano label for that one person who questioned whether Sonia G brushes are made in Japan or not. That one's for you. The reason for the high price tag is that these are luxury items. They are luxury tools because they are handmade, and the process requires a lot of time, from how the handles are constructed and the actual wood that's used, specifically Keyaki Zelkova Serrata wood that is native to Japan, the Kakishibu dyed Saikoho goat hair, persimmon dyed or persimmon tannin dye used by persimmon fruits that are also locally sourced, dates back to the 13th century. So this is a ancient traditional technique still used to this day, and these brushes were specifically made in the Hiroshima prefecture. And although it does take a while to create these tools, these are in the permanent collection, and Sonia wanted to bring back the handles that you saw in the first Traditions eye set, the persimmon dye that you saw in the Mount Fuji brush. She wanted these elements to be available in her current permanent collection. Now, if one of or all these brushes sell out, they will be back in stock, but they will take a while to do so. Even though these materials are found in the ateliers for brush making, it does still take a while. From the polishing of the wood to the dyeing process that's done by one artisan, by the way. So hopefully that gives you context in regards to the price and how long it could potentially take for a restock if that were to happen. As you know, if you want more information, more details, and more insight in regards to Sonia's approach to her brush making, to what tools, to what design she decides to do and whatnot, I would highly recommend that you check out her blog, sweetmakeuptemptations.com. I will include that link down below in the description box, where she goes into full detail behind the inspiration of the set for each brush, comparing to other brushes in her collection. So if you want to take a deep dive, you'll read that blog post. Let's begin with the Traditions one. Retails for $38 solo, and Sonia categorizes this as a smudger brush, which I think quite unique, because if you see how wide it is and how thick it is at the base, it's a mix between her Smudger one that's found in her original fundamental set for both face and eyes, and also her flat definer that was featured or first introduced in her Sky eye set. And I immediately thought, okay, shadow and wing liner, smudging out Mother's black coffee. As we get into the demo here, I noticed that my back print is quite crooked, and I'm just so pissed at myself for not fixing that. Sorry about that, family. I decided to use Viseart's Le Marais palette because I think it's exceptional, and Viseart shadows are goated, as you know, and I thought it would be an appropriate pairing. I wanted to use Traditions 1 in picking up this darker brown shadow, and look how it just places it thickly on the lash line effortless. The fact that it's thin enough to get into the tighter portions, the corner of my lash line, and then to be able to refine the line even further. Even with all that, I am thoroughly impressed with the pickup and how it laid down this shadow on my lash line in a way that was robust. It wasn't too thin, which I understand might be someone's preference. For instance, the flat definer. It's a thinner brush that you could punch on shadow more precisely, but I think you could still get precise with Tradtions 1. The fact that I was able to create this wing with just one brush, and you see the color and the shape beautifully here. I also wanted to test it out, as you know, with Mother's Black Coffee, and of course, exceptional. I like the density. It's a little more in terms of the blend. It's going to move that product around. I will recommend that you will still do one eye at a time because the permagel liner formula is meant to stay put, so I wouldn't wait long until you blend it out for a more diffused effect. I thought Tradtions 1 was fantastic in blending out my black coffee liner, and I think an advantage to the design is that it is wider. It's the widest smudger that Sonia has in her collection, and I think that just makes for a faster blend. If you're not a particular fan of this technique and you don't like blending out your eyeliner because it takes forever, now with the Tradtions 1 is going to blend that sucker down. Another role for the brush, as you probably assumed, is to apply highlight that I did here from the Viseart palette, both on the inner corner and on the lower inner part of my lash line, and also throwing some highlight on the brow bone, because why not? The width of the brush makes it simple to achieve that effect on the brows. And out of all the smudger brushes that I have, because I'm thinking about them, right? My flat definer from Sonia's Pro Eyes set, or excuse me, her Sky Eyes set, one from the Chikuhodo Takumi line. Although I have several smudger type brushes in varying widths, ones that are more pointed, ones that are more domed, this smudger is the first one that I own that has this thickness at the base, but still has that beautiful fluidity, but not too flexible. The bristles are uniform enough that you won't leave behind any skips or unevenness during your blending, whether you're applying a shadow on your lash line for that winged effect, or you're going into blending out another type of kohl pencil or whatnot. This is an exceptional brush, and I think the through line achievement conceptually, I think Sonia wanted to nail for this eye set is that how versatile each brush is. You don't have to just pin it down to one blending task. It could cover several, and I think this is why this is Sonia's one of her most outstanding collections to date. From the brush handles, from the dyeing, aesthetically goated. Now we go into Tradtions 2. This is the categorized laydown brush, and it retails for $36. What makes this different from her builder, so she would consider this a builder type of a brush, that's the packing brush design in Sonia's brush portfolio. But what's unique about Tradtions 2 is ability to, yes, pick up fantastic product, but how it has the potential to lay down product on the lid, but to blend it out, because the tip of the brush, as you see here, is beautifully flexible. I apply that shimmery shade on the lid, but then I took the tip of the brush through my crease, because you're able to. It's not going to move the skin. It will flow over the skin in a silky way, where if you wanted to just use one color, you could slap it on the lid and bring the rest through your crease successfully without having to reach for another brush, especially if you have smaller eyes, if you wanted to do that. And I skipped over to another eye look that's coming when using the Tradtions 6. I know, so exciting. The Tradtions 2 is phenomenal also for applying inner corner highlight, just as you saw with Tradtions 1. If you wanted a bolder serving of color on the inner corner, you most certainly can use Tradtions 2 for that role. And sometimes I do like using a packer type of a brush for my inner corner highlight if I want it to appear more pronounced, and I do the same thing on the other side using more of a champagne-y type of a highlight still with Tradtions 2. I think it's a phenomenal brush, and for the reasons I outlined, if I were to compare this, hold on, this is Sonia's Builder 3 from her fundamental set with the barrel design handle, and this is Tradtions 2. You can see that Traditions 2's taper starts a little lower, and that allows for better flexibility and movement versus the builder type. The builder type is going to be your brush of choice for harder to pick up formulas that are tighter in the pan, that you need to wiggle back and forth, and that will lessen the risk of fallout. The Traditions 2 has a similar capacity, but just know probably not going to be your workhorse packer type of a brush. You might have to reach for a traditionally designed builder from Sonia's collection if you have those harder to work with shadow textures. But if you have softer shadow textures like Viseart, like Surratt, like Suku, Traditions 2 is going to be your brush, especially if it's a shade that you could apply all over lid and crease and just use one brush for, using the flat side for that application on the lid and then turning the brush on its side as you saw through the demo to run color through the crease. You're gonna be fine. Next, we have Traditions 3, retails for $40, and this is the multi-purpose brush. Sonia writes, laydown, crease, and blending abilities. Now, you might be wondering, how can this type of a design brush be able to lay down? Well, I primarily used it for my crease work, and in the first demo, I used this mustard color brown. I was baffled as to how quickly I was able to blend this color through my crease and out from my lash line, and for it to look beautifully diffused and blended in just one go. And because the tip of the brush, I was able to apply the same color to my lower lash line and connect top to bottom. This brush is exceptional. And we saw this shape from the original Traditions set. This one was made with white Canadian squirrel compared to the T3. The T3 is a little more pointed and has a little more feedback. There's a little more stiffness. Now remember, stiffness doesn't mean rough. When I mean stiff, I mean it's not going to bend as much as the one with white Canadian squirrel. This is going to have a little more directness and control, which is why I wanted to go in with the darker brown. Apply that to the outer lid, and I loved how this brush placed the product on the eye. It was even, it was easy, and the pointed tip made it intuitive to feel the shape of my outer lid in order to achieve that smooth, direct blend. Because you've heard me speak about how I typically prefer a shader type of a brush to place darker colors on my outer lid in order to achieve that even first application. But because the Tier 3 has that round size and the round barrel, you could use any side of the brush to place color on your outer lid first and then turn the brush to its tip to run that color through the crease evenly. You could probably compare this to her Crease One, which Sonia did on her blog, but Crease One is limited in terms of the multi-purpose factor because you're only going to get nice blending from the tip. You're not going to get as much lay down because I don't think there's enough surface area available for the Crease One, on the Crease One I should say, versus Traditions 3. You see there's more potential to place shadow any portion of the brush here. Press it down, turn it on its side, and get to town. And this B-roll is off memory because I just filmed myself using Natasha Denona's Metropolis. I used Traditions 3 to apply like a sparkly arcly shade on the center of my lid, and my goodness, it was fine. Sure, it's not a traditionally designed packer, lay down, what have you. I could have used Traditions 2 for the same role, but Traditions 3 held it down. And double whammy, the fact that I can use that same brush to tap down a little bit of sparkle on the center of my lid and then turn the brush on its side to further refine the edges so it doesn't look blocked out and that's what I mean. Multi-purpose workhorse quality while still looking insanely beautiful. I can't take it. Next, we have Traditions 4, retails for $36. This is a medium-sized crease blending brush with a flat surface at the top. I was elated when I saw this brush because I am partial to flat top blender brushes. As you know, I love my Refer 27. That one has a lot more movement, is a lot more airy on the skin, and because of the flatter surface, it has more of an even lay down when brush comes in contact with the skin. And of course, I used it with the same mustard color shade that I used with Traditions 3. The way this brush just look at this. Look at the color intensity and the precision. and the diffusing all happening at the same time. So if you like that shroopy shroop type of a finish with your shadow when pulling through the crease in this manner, the Traditions 4 is your tool. And of course, I went back and forth just to feel the brush out, and my goodness, the flat top makes it remarkably easy to blend color through your crease. And I would also argue it could be your finisher brush if you have smaller eyes, because I understand if you don't have that much crease space to begin with and you're like, Alicia, I can't use that brush. When am I gonna use that brush? You can use Traditions 4 finishing the blend on the very edges of your shadow application. You can even take the edge of the brush to pull shadow on your lower lash line. It's all about placement. You just gotta make sure you're not placing color on the entirety of the brush's surface. Yes, just on the corner, you run that color right where it needs to go. And compared to, I'm gonna put this against Sonia's classic crease from her Sky Eye set. It's similar, but you see that there's more of a dome from the classic crease, and you got more flat top from Traditions 4. I love the flat top. I do. I enjoy that, based off the fact that from my Pat McGrath YouTube short that I featured when showing the brushes on that video, because Traditions 4 has that flat top, I am more confident in now relying on that brush to apply a darker shadow on my outer corner, because I have said before, since crease brushes are domed, they're not going to apply color in an even fashion like a Laydown one is, like a fluffy shader is. But with Traditions 4, because of the flat surface, the capability of that color application appearing even from the get and then taking it into the crease for the blend, that black shadow is black. It blended effortlessly on my outer corner. I was actually shocked at the footage. I'm like, that looks really good. Because when it comes to certain black shadows, they could be a little funny. They could be tough to blend. Traditions 4 whipped it into shape. And sure, it could be largely due to Mother's formula in that mini palette. That was like her first mini palette. I forgot when it released. Still one of my favorites to this day. That texture is like not her extreme black formula. It's like a hybrid. I can't quite place where it sits on the formula spectrum for her brand, but it was a match made in heaven between that shadow formula and Traditions 4, and the way I was able to achieve that smoke while the blend appearing clean and not muddy. Now we're going into one of my personal faves, because you know how I'm a fan of the fluffy shader design. And Traditions 5, this retails for $40. It says here that Traditions 5 is a crease brush with a pinched ferrule, medium density, fluffy but very disciplined. Listen, talk about discipline, okay? I love this brush because the multi-functionality of it, goated. And here I went in with this plum metallic from Lemerai. Oh my god. First of all, the pickup is insane. All right, the color intensity that you see here on my lid, whoa. And the fact that I could use this brush to lay down that color and not even change the angle. I just rely on its tip to run that color through my crease while continuing to blend it on my lid, combining it with that other matte that I applied prior. And I mean, you see just how easy that shadow applied. And I also use it for under my lash line. Now, it's fluffy for under the lash line. It's going to give you haze. It won't be as precise as Traditions 1 Smudger or Traditions 2 Laydown or even Traditions 3. But if you like that haze effect, if you don't care about the shadow dropping too low, Traditions 5 is phenomenal. Because of the longer bristle, it has such beautiful movement. Look at that. You could just, it's so easy to get into the crease. And if you had the smaller eye shape, which I get, you could go with either Traditions 3, this guy here, or Traditions 5. I'm partial to Traditions 5 because of the fluffy shader shape. I admit it, for sure. You could still get nice lay down from Traditions 3, 100%. And because of the pointed tip, it will be more precise through your crease. And if you have small hooded eyes, it will naturally fit well into that fold. I would argue Traditions 5 will too. okay, because it's flat on both sides. You got that pinched ferrule that allows for that shape to happen, allows for that versatility, the flat side to get, did you see that product pickup from that plum metallic? And I get it, the Viseart metallics, exceptional, they're soft, but the color intensity is there, it does not lie. And I would achieve the same thing with a Suku shadow. And actually I went in to, as I'd said, Metropolis earlier. Look how beautifully the way, okay, Traditions 5 picked up this olive tone metallic. Oh my gosh, I applied it over the avocado shade that you'll see in action when I use Traditions 6. I love this brush. This is a one and done brush for me. 100%, because I do have larger eyes. I would rely on Traditions 5 to give me that faster application, simply because of the wider surface area versus Traditions 3, lay down, blend, lower lash line, done. Even getting a little bit of that haze effect beyond my lash line. So if you were to ask me, Alicia, which brush would you get if it only won? Traditions 5 all the way, because I have all of Sonia's brushes, 100%. This for me is one of her most multitasking designs to date. And I'm looking at Worker 3, all right? I love Worker 3, also from her fundamental set, Worker M, all right? Worker S2 could be a thing. Soft shader, my beloved jumbo blender. I could use all these brushes in the same fashion as I described, but okay, Traditions 5 has a length. It has a length. A little bit of length is going to present more flexibility in terms of running the bristles through your crease in a more diffused fashion. That's what I think the advantage is. But I get it. If you don't want another fluffy shader, I understand. But listen, if you don't have any fluffy shaders at all, this is the one to get. And lastly, this brush, when I saw it for the first time online, I gasped. Traditions 6. It retails for $50. It is the most expensive brush out of the bunch, considering that it is the largest and has the most bristles packed in there. And also, my apologies for not mentioning brass ferrules with the black matte coating, but this ferrule in particular is custom to create this shape for Tradition 6 that you probably have detected by now, likens to the beloved Najib Pro. Tradition 6 is basically the eyeshadow version of Najib Pro. That is 100%. And I could already hear your thoughts. I could hear you already. Hard to pick up shadow formulas. In addition to that, Sonia writes that Tradition 6 is a big eyeshadow brush for all over placement or blending. Large and dense, arched pinch ferrule opens the bristles and allows them to flow ever so smoothly. They really flex and adapt to the structure of the eye area. And she said you could also use this with concealer, and also you can use this set with liquid and creams, but Sonia recommends that maybe not as often. If you already have her Fusion eye set, she recommends that you use that if you are a high frequent liquid cream user for your eyes. But once in a while it's okay. Just make sure you wipe the brushes in between their use. Man, when I got a hold of Tradition 6, I had to try it with like an all over eye look, and of course I picked up this violet magenta matte and we went to town. Flat side on the lid, and then I took the brush through the crease, and this is a large brush, all right? If you have smaller eyes and you're looking at this demo, you're like, I can't relate. I get it. However, you'll soon realize that it can be exceptional for finishing the blend for you closer to your lid, or excuse me, closer to your eyebrows. Maybe you have a tough to pick up eyeshadow formula in your collection that you need Tradition 6 for. And I picked up that lighter melon color just to softly blend out the edges and create that gradient. Went in with Traditions 3 under the lash line to showcase its capabilities in applying color there. My goodness, look at the corner of my eyes. My goodness, that's smooth. That's a close-up. All right, you can see the pores, you can see the wolf hairs, but look at the finish of that blend. All because of Sonia's brushes, I'm telling you. There's no denying it. So when I spoke about hard to pick up shadow formulas, I thought about Lisa Eldridge Vega palette, picked up the cream to powder taupe color that I used for my Suku Moisture Glaze reel. And of course I had to like fix a little smudge because of removing eyeshadow like 3 times that day. But man, Tradition 6 picks up this type of formula beautifully, and in a way that just looks more washed out and diffused if you wanted that effect from this type of a shadow. And I also used it to pick up the avocado shade from Natasha Denona's Metropolis palette. First of all, this look right here, I love it. I love it. I haven't used Metropolis in a while. Is Natasha's best palette. What can I say? It's number one. It's number one until she can create something else like that. It's going to be number one forever in my eyes. So I had to use Tradition 6 with Natasha's cream to powder formula because my gosh, like perhaps I would say because the pans are small, since they're midi size, Tradition 6 could pick up the neighboring shadow, but what are you gonna do? Just be careful with how you wiggle it back and forth. But I didn't have any issues. The color pickup was phenomenal, and the way it appeared all over my eye, because what you can do, and this is what I was thinking when applying that violet matte from Le Marais, is you apply that matte shadow all over your eye, and then you go into one of Motherships and just tap one of her actual shades over the matte. That's all you need to do. And just finishing touches I use with the Traditions 4 blender because I just think it's fantastic for finishing edges here, as you see, top and bottom. And I thought it would be fun to use Traditions 2, picking up this mandarin colored metallic and just applying it over the matte. I like what it was doing. I thought it was quite nice. And then we slapped on the lashes, of course. And here is the finished look. Do you see the sparkle? Viseart is goated. I can't get over it. I'm flashing the light over my lids just so you can see the effect better, and we're going to get an under flash because look at that sparkle on the inner corner. Are you kidding me? Stop it right now. More final look shots for you here. I am thrilled with how this look turned out. It's smoky, it's colorful, it's smooth, it's blended. The plum eye is just getting me. I can't get over the plum eye. It's my favorite. And that is it, family. Those are the demos for Sonia's Keyaki Kakishibu Traditions eye set. I can say with confidence that this is her best set yet because she truly wanted to fill in the blanks for what exists in her collection or what she thinks exists in your collection. The way she combined traditional techniques with the wood handles, with the tanning, and now creating shapes that are multifunctional in purpose, that can cover a myriad of tasks, that make it easy for the user in terms of applying their eyeshadow, that you could just pick one brush and find a way to use it for different types of shadow textures, finishes, and whatnot, different parts of your eyes, depending if they're large, they're small, somewhere in between, small hooded, large lids, whatever the case might be, there's a brush for you in this set. And I get it if you feel that it's expensive, but this is what you pay for. You're paying for someone's specialty who dedicated their entire life to this craft. This is not something that's just factory made. Okay, this is something made by an actual human sitting down, dyeing, polishing wood handles, hand bundling bristles. I mean, it is labor intensive, but the artistry that exists within this process, the intention, the thoughtfulness, the collaboration, what's going on in Sonia's mind, what she wants to create and bring to life, and her working with these individuals to bring that vision to life, I think is magnificent. And then to experience all that with these tools is truly exceptional. And if you're waiting for a set to invest in, yes, I'm using the word invest because these brushes will last you a long time if they're well taken care of, this will be the one. I keep going back and forth because I know many of you had asked what my opinion is in regards to smaller eye shapes. I still recommend the Sky Eye set because those brushes are exceptional for smaller eyes. I mean, I'm thinking Mini Booster with that small blender brush, flat definers in there. My beloved Jumbo Blender comes from the Sky Eye set. But this, the Keyaki Kakishibu set is just... it's just untouchable. It's untouchable. When you use this set, you will understand immediately how special and unique it is. And I'm happy that Sonia brought in different techniques to her collection, because I hope this shut people up in regards to their whining when she released her fundamental set. The point of that set was to reestablish her fundamental concept, right, in her collection. She wanted to use the undyed Psycho goat hair. I see that set as her workhorse set for both face and eyes. It was intentional that she wasn't going to use dyed bristles and gray squirrel that we saw from her holiday set. By the way, it made sense she wasn't going to use those materials. I'm happy she created a entirely separate line, her Tradtions line, that showcased other types of techniques that are just beautiful, that were separate from her fundamental set. I'm happy she did that, because people are like, oh, she does the same thing, blah, blah, blah. First of all, you try to design brushes. You try. I know I'm not, because the amount of brushes Sonia has, the amount of perspective she has, okay, from different types of Fude brands, and for her to still be able to design these shapes with all those other shapes in mind, to fill in the gaps, if you will, I think it's a huge achievement, and I congratulated her, because this is just exceptional in terms of the aesthetic, in terms of the design, the roll. You will not be disappointed. And I get it, if you're on a budget, wait. These are permanent, but just keep in mind, if one of these come out of stock that you want, it will take a while to return. You can still get them, but you're gonna have to wait. That's it. Let me know if you already ordered your set, if you're thinking about it, if you've already tried these brushes, because I know. Thank you again to Sonia and Beautylish for the gift. I'll see you down in those comments, friends. And until then, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, or maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I will see you on here again with another review tutorial, Sonia G brush extravaganza, or maybe another Metropolis video. Let me know down below. Take care, and I will see you again soon.